What's up guys, Chasing Lamely here with episode 127 of Welcome to Wroxham. It's another transfer special. There's some big movements in, some big movements out, and it should be an interesting season ahead as we go into Europe for the first time. So like, subscribe, ring the bell, all that good stuff. Leave the comments down below about what you think of the new signings and how you think we're going to do. And I'll see you on the other side of the intro. So as always with our transfer specials, I'm going to start by talking about the players who have left us, and then we will talk about the players who are coming in. We'll talk about the season preview and see what we can do. So without any further ado, let's go look at who's left us. So a bunch of players left on frees this summer. We'll start by going through them. I don't know if you remember me signing Borjo Mayordomo. He hasn't actually played for us. He's been out on loan hoping he would reach his potential. He never really seemed to get there. He came to us literally as a regen, and then when we signed him, we sent him on loan, and he did okay at Crewe and at Sunderland, at Bolton in Leagues 1 and 2. Then he's now joined Athletic Bilbao, which seems odd because I didn't realise that he had any Basque heritage, but it turns out he does. There we go, we've learned a thing. He's gone to join Athletic Club Bilbao in Spain. He's gone on a free. His contract was up. I couldn't be bothered to persuade him to re-sign for longer because honestly he wasn't gonna get there, I didn't think, so we've let him go. But there's been a few more players who have also left us on free, so let's go talk about them. So Vukas Wisniewski is one of the people who's also gone away. Again, he came in as a youngster and came through our youth intake, and we let him loan. No, he didn't. I signed him for AFC Mansfield. Good, I don't know what's going on. I signed him for AFC Mansfield on a scout recommendation, loaned him out to Norwich CBS. He didn't do much to develop. He's still a bit of a naff player. The scouts, when I first signed him, said he was going to be 5 stars. Same with all of these youngsters. He's gone to join Lincoln Red Imps in Gibraltar. He's in their under-23s right now, but they are a Champions League perennial, so he will get some Champions League football, assuming his development path gets him into their first team. So good move for him, I suppose. Good move for us because we don't have to pay him anymore, and I guess we'll see how he does if we meet them down the line. Similar situation actually with Ibrahim Mansarai, who joined us from Falmouth, another player who was really highly recommended by our scouts. I've got scouts going all the way through non-league, just in case a good regen pops up, and he had the same path, loaned him out at the same time to Norwich CBS. They didn't play him, he wasn't quite good enough for their team at the time apparently. Fast forward a few years, and Leeds have taken him from us on a free, and what's curious is that he's now worth £16 million, and he's got an E potential, so I don't really know what they're thinking, but apparently there's some potential there I couldn't get out of him. If anyone's going to get potential out of a young player, it's going to be Leeds, so fair play to him, and we'll see how that works out for him. Identical situation actually for Willem Halford, who was an attacking midfielder on the left-hand side. He came from backup. He then went on loan at Norwich, went on loan at Kings Lynn Town, came back to us for a little while. Sunderland have taken him on a free. He's now apparently worth £6 million, again, F for potential. So I'm not really sure why they've done that, but, again, another good luck to him. Likewise, Jay Anderson, I feel like the scout I've got going to these non-league clubs may not be very good because this one, again, didn't really work out. Came through Hanworth Villa, I signed him, CBS, loans at Greenways and Redbridge, did okay for them. Plymouth have come in and taken him on a free, and he's worth about £1 million now. But I don't know why, because aside from that one good season in the Eastern Counties Division 1 South, I don't know if there's anything really impressive about this guy. He's got a D rating now, he's not terribly quick, he can't cross the ball still. I think this scout may not be a hit. And that's borne out by his other big find, apparently, which was Juan Carlos Christian, who was at Banstead. He actually did play on his loan at CBS, and then went to Greenways and Redbridge as well for odd reasons. I guess they're best friends and they followed each other around. He's now gone to Sunderland, to Middlesbrough. They think he's worth £6 to £9 million, but again, one good season last year at Redbridge, I'm not quite sure is enough. And for a centre half, frankly, he's big, and that's all he brings to the table. He's not particularly quick. He's not great in the air or on the ground. His marking and positioning is suspect. He's got an F rating by the scout now. yeah, I'm gonna say that losing him on a free, not so big a deal. But let's look at some players we've actually received some money for, shall we? And starting perhaps with a big surprise is Rad Ahmed has left us to join Hoffenheim. Played 19 times for us in 2 seasons, the Egyptian international. It's Egyptian, he's Iranian, I think. Iraqi, there we go. I knew it was somewhere in the Middle East. Yeah, he didn't really fit our team. He didn't do a great job of being a ball playing centre back, which go figure because he's got a 9 for passing. But they came in and offered me 16.25 million for him, which could rise to 18 and potentially further. It's a sell-on fee that's in there, and I paid 6.75 million for it, so about a 10 million pound profit for a player. Gave us 19 games, never played badly as such, just didn't play brilliantly, didn't inspire me. He came from a good run at Sparta Rotterdam, 209 league games. But yeah, he's left us now, and we wish him the best of luck. He has been replaced. We'll meet his replacement shortly. But let's keep on going through the players we've sold. Craig Thompson actually is the next player out. He has left us. He had a successful-ish loan at Ipswich last season. They decided to make it permanent for 2.4 million in the Championship. I signed him a few years ago on a free after he was released by Arsenal, and he had a couple of good seasons on loan, one good season on loan at Sutton United, and then had a loan at Preston and a loan at Ipswich, and it was just, it was time. He wasn't developing. He could still come back into the Premier League, maybe, if he has a good time at Ipswich, but I don't see it. I mean, he's only rated as a D for us. He is going to be their first choice goalkeeper, but I think Ipswich are predicted to go down, so I don't know. I think this one might be a Championship lifer, but we say goodbye to Craig Thompson, and he's put some money in the coffers for reinforcements. Now, another player who's left on free that I did have some high hopes for was Lucas Lopez Cardoso. I actually felt he could turn into a decent player for us, not just because he can play in every position, but I really genuinely believed in his potential. Unfortunately, what happened here was he was out on loan at Tigres in Mexico for a couple of years after having a loan in Brazil after I paid $6.5 million for him. Because I have the unavailable players button ticked, I was not paying attention to his contract running down, and the New England Revolution have signed him on a free at the end of his contract. So that was my bad. I'm sure if he turns into a worldie, we'll buy him back. In fact, before I forget, let's bang him on the shortlist for an indefinite period, just so I can keep an eye on him. But yeah, that may not have been my finest hour, but such is life. We'll always find a replacement. Now, the next 2 players out, a couple of big names. Pedro Porro has joined AS Monaco after leaving us. My reasoning here, I know he's played for us regularly since he joined us a couple of seasons back. He's 33, he was becoming our 3rd choice right back and our 3rd choice right winger. It didn't feel fair to him. We were paying a lot of money to sit on the bench most of the time. So he's played 48 league games for us, scored 4 goals. All 3 of those were a hat-trick, by the way. Weird. After he signed on a free from Barca, and then Monaco offered me just shy of $6 million for him. And because I wasn't going to use him, I felt like I'd let him move on. Finish his career off playing football. Sad to see him go. He's a good influence on the dressing room, but as I said, it wasn't fair to keep him as a backup to backups. It's not okay. So he moves on to France to maybe wrap up his career. And a similar vein to that, actually, Victor Osimhen, similar boat. Played 30 times for us last season, scored 10 goals after we signed on that free after he was released by Real Madrid. He was declining quite rapidly. He did come into some form towards the end of his spell with us, but he was also declining in stats quite rapidly, and I knew I was going to have to find a younger replacement for him anyway, so I thought I'd sell him while I still could. He had a year left on his contract, so I took the 4.4 million that Hertha Berlin offered us for him, so I could reinvest it in a younger striker. He gets to play at the top level, get regular first team football, again finish his career out well, and we get some money, and it felt like a really good trade for him. So hopefully he'll do really well, and maybe we'll see him down the line. Who knows? I don't know if Hertha Berlin are likely to qualify for Europe anytime soon, but I wouldn't rule it out, so we'll see how that goes. Now, Martin Kwabena Yakubu was an interesting one because I did want to try and develop him. I liked the versatility he's got. I thought he was a really good player, potentially. Um, he was also 23, which meant I had to register him for the squad. And I didn't have room for him in it, so I felt like it was unfair to keep him just to play him in cup games. I could have loaned him out again, but he was kind of beyond being loaned out. So after a season on Preston last year, obviously we paid 525k to buy him from, was it Man City? It was Man City, after he had a couple of loans in the Championship before. We sold him to Sheffield Wednesday to go play full-time in the Championship, 725k. We made a small 200k profit on him. He'll do well there. I've got no doubt he's going to do well for Sheffield Wednesday. We might even see him come up to the Premier League with them. They're a good side. They've been a good side throughout the season. They've always been there or thereabouts in the playoffs. So I feel like probably we'll see him again in the near future. But yeah, it was time for him to be playing first team football. I couldn't stand in his way. I took money because I could always find a young player to replace him, and we'll see how that goes. Now, that's an interesting player to let go was Nicholas Barcelo. He is a Gibraltarian under-21 international who was scouted really highly by our scout. I keep a scout in that part of Europe. Said he was going to have really big potential, so I thought I'd give him a chance to see how he developed. Brought him in on a free, I believe. Loaned him out to Rothwell, brought him back, loaned him out again to Brackley. He did actually quite well on those loans, but he was like 7th choice goalkeeper, 8th choice goalkeeper. He needed to be playing somewhere, and it wasn't going to be here. He'd had a good season in the National League North, so I put him up for sale because it was time, and Middlesbrough have given us 375k from. I guess they think we can do a better job developing him. Maybe they've got less goalkeepers ahead of him in the squad, and it's probably a good move for him. We'll see how that works out for him. We may even see him again. He's worth £11 million, so it's not entirely impossible. He could have some potential to get into the Premier League, but it's Middlesbrough's job to develop him now, not mine. And if we see him in the future, we see him in the future. And likewise, whilst I was trimming the squad of goalkeepers, it was time to move Celso Coronel on. When I signed him, I did say I had big hopes for him when I signed him from Deportivo Capiata. Paraguayan international, 43 caps. He's a good goalkeeper. I think they may have transfer listed him. That's really odd. Unless there's a release clause, probably. So I brought him in for £1 million. I played him a few times, and he looked okay as a backup goalkeeper. I thought, give him a couple of seasons out on loan, he'd be good again. So I sent him on loan to Cambridge, and he did decently there. Sent him to Colchester, again a good season. Burton had a good season in League One. Good season the whole last season in League One. I had talked about when we got to the Premier League, maybe he'd be good enough to be our first choice goalkeeper. Then I made a couple of signings. Chicago Fire offered me money for him. He needs to be playing first team football. He's 24. He's an international. His international career depends on him being able to play regular football, and he'll be able to do that in the MLS. So he's gone to the Chicago Fire. We'll see how that goes for him. I think he should be good enough to make that work, to be honest. So we may come across him again. It may be that he develops more and comes back to Europe. But for now, he's just going to go play in the MLS. It's a perfectly good standard of football. He'll get more international caps, and we'll see how his career goes. Next, the signing I'm happy to admit was a mistake was Zane Huggins. I thought he'd have potential to develop. Of course, didn't notice that he was pushing 24, 25 when I signed him already. Paid 230k to sign him from, I think it was Spurs. He been on loan everywhere, and ended up being sold for 230k. West Brom offered me 700 for him after a season. He's a championship level player. He's probably never going to be more than a championship level player, but he can have a good career there, and we gain a profit. So good luck to him. We'll probably see him in a cup down the line, and if we don't, then we don't. But we tried our best. We couldn't get any development out of him last season, so we'll just have to wish him the best. Now, the next victim of my big goalkeeper clear out was Brian Samora, who you remember we signed way back when. Again, he was a regen that popped up. We've tried to nurture his career, and he didn't really develop very quickly. He's 26 now. I've had him since he was 16, I believe. Yeah, I had him since he was 16, and he was literally with us from the Isthmian North, as you can see there. finally signed a proper contract with us the following season, or the season we got promoted to the Southern Premier Central. We then loaned him back down to the Isthmian North. He did well. He came back to us for a year to see how he developed, went out on loan to Havant and Waterlooville for a couple of years and did okay as their backup keeper. Came back to us, didn't work out, went to Swindon for a year where he should have been their first choice goalkeeper and wasn't. After the second year, I waited until the end of August. He hadn't played again, so I recalled him and then loaned him all the way out to Swindon Supermarine, so he didn't even have to move house. He had a good season in the National South, another good couple of seasons for Yeovil in the National South. Then had a good season on loan at Oxford in League 2, and I just thought his development wasn't getting anywhere. And you can see here, he's not a great goalkeeper. He's a good goalkeeper. He's a respectable goalkeeper. He's just not a great goalkeeper. He wasn't going to be a first-team goalkeeper for us. I thought he probably deserved at least a fighting chance of getting into his national team because Colombia's goalkeeping situation can't be that strong. So I thought I'd sell him, and then Chelsea offered money for him, and a bunch of clubs in League 1 offered money for him as well. And I did try and encourage him to go and play in League 1, but he, of course, chose to go and play for Chelsea. He's going to be like their fourth choice goalkeeper. It's a really stupid decision he's made there. He could have been playing first-team football lower down, work his way up. I don't think he'll develop as well being in Chelsea's reserves. So he may have killed his own career, but I tried. I did try to encourage him, and either way, I made some money. But there's a couple more players we've let go, and then we'll talk about the new signings. And one of those was Danilo. You remember him? He was the Brazilian goalkeeper I brought in that I thought potentially could have been great. And he seemed in a similar situation actually with this one. He came to us from AMG. I paid $275k for him, which I thought was a really good price. Loaned him out to Walsall in the National League, and he did okay there. Loaned him out to Bromley in the National League. He did great there. Did good for Shrewsbury in League 2. Good for Accrington Stanley in the National League, and Kings Lynn in the National League. It wasn't coming together. He just wasn't getting better than a National League goalkeeper. So when Perth Glory offered me 28k for him, I just thought, you know what, let him go and find himself, carry on. He's going to be their first choice goalkeeper, apparently. I don't actually think he's good enough to be a first choice goalkeeper there, because he wasn't good enough to be a first choice goalkeeper in League 2. But, you know, their decision, their money, and now it's our money. So, goodbye and good luck to Danilo. And finally, rounding up the decisions I got wrong, you know, there's been a few over the years, was Dudu, who was a Portuguese under-21 international that came through Botafogo in Rio. We signed him on a free and then loaned him back to Botafogo. It's weird, they released him, loaned him straight back from us. It was such an odd choice. They clearly wanted to keep him. Played in Serie A a lot, didn't really work out for him having that season on loan. He wasn't really playing, and then Spezia came and offered me that 245k. I couldn't say no, so I didn't say no. And then I've also, he's 23 and he's not getting better, so maybe he'll do better in Serie A, but I have a feeling he'll be back in Brazil before long, and probably never heard from again. There is one more player we need to talk about leaving, and then we will get into the newcomers. And when I say talk about leaving, he's not actually left. It's Sidney Grijo. He's been our backup left back for a while. He's a good backup left back, and I'm certainly not looking to let him leave. But he is competing with Jorge Morais for that left-hand side position. Jorge Morais never gets injured or suspended, so Sidney Grijo's only really playing when either I need a backup centre-half or coming off the bench. We can see here his first season, he did start a lot last season, a lot more bench time, I feel like. And, he doesn't need to be competing with anyone. He's 25 years old, doesn't need to compete with anyone for a left-back spot just yet. I think the plan here is to let him be on loan at Villarreal for a year, see how he comes back, see if he can give Morais any real competition. Let's just see where he stacks up with the rest of our defenders, and then we'll reassess him. I think a year in Spain's good for him, and he's not gone, he's not leaving us permanently. I think he can become a really good player in the Premier League. But I think a year without that competing is a sad thing because he's really versatile. I like his versatility. But I just think a year in Spain may do him a world of good. So I thought I'd let him try that out. So we'll see how he looks when he comes back for next season. And for now, we'll go meet the new signings. There's been a few youngsters we've signed this season. The first one is Obada Sulaiman. He's Syrian international, 18 years old. He has gone back on loan to Tishreen, where he came from, because he's one for the future for sure. He's not one for anyone in the near future. It cost me 3.5k. Feel like he could be an Ahmed Ghamar situation, a player we found cheap in the Middle East who could potentially turn into a big star for us. So we've let him go back on loan for now. When he comes back from Tishreen at the end of the season, I think we'll try and find him a loan somewhere in League 2, see how that works out for him. I do think he's got the potential, and I do think he's got the upside we were keeping around. But I thought I'd introduce him to you now, so you're not surprised when he starts appearing in, say, cup games and things like that down the line. Now, our next signing is a weird one, I think. Abdullah Patel, I just had a feeling he could become something good. I had him scouted, I looked at his stats, he looked decent, and I thought we'd give him a look. He's coming for 170k from Liverpool. He's had seasons on loan at Barnsley, at Bromby, at Ipswich Town, Derby County. Obviously a Liverpool youth product. He's never played for Liverpool, but he's played a lot of Championship football and looked okay. And the scouts said he was decent. I thought maybe he'd be decent. I'm going to try and loan him out this season. I don't think he's going to be a first-team player, but it's nice to have him there as an option. He does have an under-21 cap for England. Although at 24, this is his last chance, so we'll loan him out this season, see how he looks in the Championship, and then we'll take another look when he comes back. Now you want to hear our big signings, and our big signing is Alfie Dorrington, who's 28 and should have played for England by now. I have no idea how Alfie Dorrington has not got an England cap by now. I thought he had one. I know I've seen him in a squad a couple of times, but he's not actually been capped yet. And I find him really interesting because he can play as a ball-playing defender. He's got all the size attributes he's got that we've been to there. He's good all round. He's not great necessarily, but he's good all round. I've paid 28 million for him after Brentford paid 30 million for him. He had a couple of seasons in the Premier League, perfectly respectable seasons. After signing from Bournemouth signed him from Spurs, where he played, and he played for Palace in the Championship, West Brom in the Championship. He has made a lot of appearances, 10 appearances for Spurs after coming through. I just feel like this is a guy who's got some potential. I feel like he needs some consistent first-team football at a European club, and I think he'll get in the England squad. So he is going to be our new, first-choice partner for Andrea Marcato. We'll see how they play together. I think they're going to be really good. I think his pace is going to really help complement Marcato a little bit, and this will all hopefully improve. He's 28, it might not, but I think it was a reasonable gamble, and we had the money to spend, so I spent it. He's no worse than Ahmed Ghamar. He's just better at being a ball-playing defender, so that's why I thought I'd use him. Now, another signed and loaned back out type of player is Pedro Cardoso. He's an Argentine goalkeeper. He's 19 years old, and he has 2 caps, which I think says probably a big potential player. If a teenager has played for a major national team, you can usually safely say he has some potential. He's a good all-round goalkeeper, a good sweep keeper and all that kind of stuff already. I've let him go back to Boca for this season because I figured he's better playing first-team football at Boca than being on our bench. I paid 6.25 million for him, and I think that's a pretty good investment. As I said, he's managed to get into Argentina's first team already. You can't argue he's not got something. So we'll see how the season at Boca does. Maybe we've finally found a challenger for Casper Garda between the sticks. Now we also have a returning face, Ben Dodd. I think I mentioned in the last episode I was looking at signing Ben Dodd back because he meets a homegrown club player requirement because he was on loan with us throughout his late teens. From I think the age of 18 onwards, he was basically on loan with us. I'm trying to do the maths very quickly as I maths. 2000. So he joined us at 19, had that couple of seasons on loan, so 2, 3, 4 seasons on loan with us. That qualifies him as a homegrown club player, and I needed an extra one for Europe. He's respectably good. He's not a million miles off the rest of our team in terms of being able to fill in anywhere. It's not that I don't trust him to fill in European games. He's going to be he's agreed as an emergency backup. I think as an emergency backup to fill that spot, he's a good enough option. He's versatile enough. He just fills a gap, and I'm not unhappy to see him back. So we're going to welcome back Ben Dodd and see how his first permanent stint at the club looks for him. But don't worry, I kept spending the big money, and Labino Gilardini is a Albanian international. He has 20 caps for Albania at the age of 21. Joins us from FC Basel in Switzerland. I am looking at him as being able to be a Mazzala and a defensive midfielder. And as a Mazzala, which is kind of his main role, the guy's passing, his technique, his off the ball, his work rate, his decisions, stamina, balance, etc., all that, everything really. He's a good Mazzala, a really good Mazzala. I don't think 3 stars is quite fair, but if he's got room to get better, all power to him. Currently valued at about £39 million top end. I paid 11.25 for him, and I think that's a really good deal for a guy who's come through a really good youth system at Basel. Had a lot of experience in the Swiss Super League. I really do think this is a great signing, maybe one of the best signings I've made on this save so far. Expect him to be in the team occasionally rather than regularly for now, but I think give it a year or two, he'll be a player we rely on. So yeah, happy to have him at the club. Now, another youngster we've brought in to develop here is Valentin Ganchev. He is a Bulgarian international at the age of 18. Plays either full-back or the way up the right-hand side. He's sort of the replacement for Pedro Porro in that he does everything Pedro Porro did, and he's young enough for it to be appropriate to be third choice in 2 positions. I've loaned him back out to Slavia Sofia, where he came from. I thought a season of first-team football couldn't hurt him. I paid 4.3 million for him. I think that's a really good deal, and I think he's worth 49 million already. So, you know, if I sold him at the end of this season, I'd still make a really good profit. But I do think this kid, give him a year playing back at Slavia Sofia, maybe he's knocking on the door of the first team, and if he's not, he'll certainly be good enough to get a top loan somewhere. So, you know, one for the future, but it's a bright future. Now, next up is the replacement-ish that I signed for Victor Osimhen. I'm not 100% convinced on him, but he came to us on a free, so we'll see how that goes. He's been playing for Liverpool. He's had loans everywhere, from Firenze and Norwich and Watford and Porto, and he's done okay everywhere he's been. I think he is probably more of an attacking midfielder / false 9. But I'm not against trying him out. He's quick. I mean, if we, as you know, we play with a pressing forward on attack, and he's still 2 stars there. He's 24. He's got 2 goals in 2 caps for Argentina, which is a good sign, I think. He is here to be a backup, so he shouldn't complain too much, and he should have what we need in terms of core stats. The only things holding him back really are positioning, work rate, and concentration. Everything else is fine. I think as someone I can send off the bench to maybe grab a late goal, he's probably a better option than Osimhen. So we'll keep him around. We'll see how he goes. He cost us nothing, and we can sell him for a good profit if we need to. But Augusto Alegre is our brand new striker. Now this one is a loan signing. It's rare I make loan signings for Premier League teams if I don't need to, and we've been hovering around the top 6, so we're not, in the worst shape. But Ibrahim Silla has joined us on loan from Chelsea. He's cost us 1.3 million for the year. Had a good season on loan last year at West Brom in League One, and he's been with Chelsea for a little while, but had a couple of seasons on loan at West Brom. I guess they've got an agreement somewhere. Chelsea paid 7.5 million for him after Orsay paid 4.8 for him. He's got 31 international caps for the Ivory Coast, to have the best badge in world football. He's come through Troyes. He's had a good career so far. He's 22. A youngster able to play as the sort of Mazzala, as the holding midfielder. He'll fit in quite nicely in our team, so I'm not going to lose too much sleep over him, to be honest. I'm not going to worry too much about him as a player. For instance, here's a Mazzala here, again, perfectly capable. Tackling is suspect, but everything else should work out fine. We'll see how he does on loan. I don't think I'll make him a permanent signing, because I'm never going to spend £81 million on a player. But if I can have him for this year, I'll take him, and maybe we send him back to Chelsea a first teamer, and if not, he gets a good run out in the Premier League to see how good he is. Now, Augusto Alegre wasn't the only striker I've signed. I've signed Emre Teşkal, who apparently is a real player that I'd never heard of. He's a Stoke youngster originally, so in real life, you're a Stoke fan, keep an eye out for him. He has got a cap and a goal for England. He's in that rare club with David Nugent and probably someone else. interesting career so far. So he comes through Stoke's youth system, does okay, breaks into their side fairly quickly, gets his way up into, contention in the Championship for playing well, has a season on loan at Swansea in League One. Don't know how they ended up in League One, but that's life. Came back to Stoke, 15 in 44, followed by 15 in 46, followed by 10 in 38, followed by 8 in 28, which is a bit of a weird decline. Burnley then paid a lot of money for him, 44.5 million, 5 goals in 14 in the Premier League, adapted immediately, good stuff. Then another season, 11-35, 15-37, didn't play much for Burnley in the 32-33 season, played once in fact, because Tottenham paid 48 million for him, and then played him twice. And at this point he'd already won an England cap, presumably somewhere in here. I'm sure it'll tell me if I look. There you go, he came off the bench and scored in that season where he had a lot of goals in the Premier League for Burnley. He's clearly got it, he's clearly got something to score goals, so 35 million, I know it's a lot of money, it might be the most money we've ever spent. 35 million for a competent striker. He is an attacking and advanced forward, but if I show you him as a pressing forward, again, finishing, first touch, composure. I mean, that first touch, that finishing and that composure alone in front of goal, that should get us some goals. He does need to work on his positioning. I will be working on his positioning now he's with us, because I think that's the one thing stopping him being an absolute monster. In fact, while I think about it, let's do that now. Let's go to his training, and let's put an additional focus on positioning once I can find where it's attacking movement. Apparently it's defensive movement. Okay, good stuff. Let's do that, I guess, and let's tell him he needs to work harder at being a pressing forward on attack. Take charge of that too. Good stuff. Right. Hopefully that's going to help him get more goals, which would be great. It'd be really good if we get more goals out of him. And I've spoiled my hand, so we'll have a look at the last guy. Youssoufa Niane is a Senegalese international, 8 caps, 1 goal, 18 years old, can play all across the attacking midfield and in central midfield if we need to train him up there. But he's been signed to play on either wing. He's quick. He can dribble. He can do it all, passing and technique and all that good stuff. He has signed for us from Dakar Sacré-Cœur, 325k. I know nothing about Dakar Sacré-Cœur or if they have a history of producing great players, but Senegal as a country does. He's cost us next to nothing. He's very young, and we'll see how he does. So that is our new signings for the season. You've met everyone now. You've introduced everyone to the bus. Let's see what we're saying about our chances in the Premier League this season, just so you can see how the media feels about our chances, which of course would be nice if, as I said, as we all know, when a save game gets far enough down the line, it slows itself way down, takes forever to load anything up. So we just have to wait it out whilst it makes some decisions. We are, of course, in the Europa League. We're not going to be entering that until September when the group stage starts, so we don't need to worry about that right now. That'll be sort of game or episode 3. We'll do it on Friday. We'll play our first Europa League game, so look forward to that. But our season preview, they're saying we're going to finish 10th. It's like they don't understand we've finished in 8th and 6th the last couple of seasons. They're slowly kind of getting the idea we are a European contender, even with that next to us. The UEL next to it. We've got no one in the Media Dream 11. It's still somehow Erling Haaland is in there, 33 years old, next to Chris Giles, the Spurs striker. I've tried to sign him a couple of times, Chris Giles, and he's worth a fortune. I think he just moved this summer from Newcastle to Tottenham. Oh no, he's just moved the season before that. 61 million. His price is going down, but it's not going down fast enough I'll ever be able to pick him up. So he's a bit of a mercenary too. He just moves every couple of years, just does his thing. But yeah, so we're being tipped to finish top 10. But that, I think, wraps up the season previewance for us. We'll come back for the opening game of the season, which is going to be against Leicester, which is a nice way to start. They're going to be much lower down than us this season. So I think it's a good place to wrap things up. Let me know in the comments below where you think we're going to finish this season. Which of those signings do you think looks really good? Do you think any of them look really good? Do you think there's some we've sold, we should have kept hold of? Do you think, tell me what you think of the new players and the players that have left is what I'm saying. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, tell your friends, all that good stuff. FM24 obviously coming out in about a week or 2 for preview. I do have plans for that. I haven't announced the plans yet. I will announce them properly for the beta period. I think I'm going to do like a beginner's guide to FM24. because it's been a while since anyone has done one. I had a look. It's been a while since anyone's done a proper beginner's guide to Football Manager. The new game feels like a good time to do it, because obviously new people come and play the game all the time. I thought I'd be the one to help them out if no one else is going to do it. We're going to carry on Welcome to Wroxham for as long as we can, because we can now transfer the save over to the new game. But I'll have something new in the running. I just want to kind of wrap up this story, because it feels like it needs to end with us winning a big trophy. It would be a shame to just walk away whilst we're this close to achieving something. So we're going to keep it up for a little while and see how that goes. But anyway, guys, stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for Wednesday. Leicester City will be our next episode. And I shall see you all very soon. I have been Chasing Laney. Thank you for watching. Until next time, have a good one.